I still remember the exact curve of her lip when she said it. The way Marissa tilted her head slightly, as if she were examining a painting she'd grown tired of pretending to like. Her laugh didn't echo. It cut. I had asked her a simple question. My voice wasn't angry, wasn't begging, just tired. Are you sure this is what you want? I asked, standing in the living room we once called ours, surrounded by boxes and ghosts. She didn't hesitate. Jonah, I need more than what you'll ever be able to give. Then came that laugh, short, sharp, condescending, like I was a joke that kept repeating itself. You'll never make it without me. I don't remember if I said anything in return. Maybe I just stood there, the air growing thicker by the second. As she picked up the last of her designer bags, the wheels of her luggage clicked against the hardwood, like punctuation marks to a sentence I didn't want to read, and behind her, smirking, sunglasses perched atop his perfectly sculpted hair, was Griffin Hart. He looked like money, smelled like power. The kind of man who never carried his own bags or checked his account balance. I'd seen his name before. Owned a chain of restaurants. Had just opened one downtown with some obnoxiously pretentious name and an even more ridiculous waitlist policy, and now, apparently, he owned her attention. Griffin didn't say much, he didn't need to. His silence was seasoned with smugness, like he already knew I wasn't competition, as if he thought I should thank him for cleaning up a mess. He gave me this look, one I'll never forget, that said, "You should have known this would happen." And then he slipped an arm around her waist like she was already property. Transferred. She didn't flinch. Didn't look back. They walked out the door together, heels clicking like the metronome of my unraveling. For hours I sat in the silence they left behind. My phone buzzed once. A message from my buddy Eric. You good, man? I didn't respond. What could I say? That my wife left me for a man who probably drinks $40 smoothies and has a skincare routine longer than my grocery list. That she said I'd never make it, like I was some underdeveloped version of success she'd evolved past. I walked into the bedroom, opened the closet, stared at the empty side where her clothes used to hang. That side had always smelled like lilac and ambition. Now, it was just wood and air. The hangers clinked as I ran a hand through them. The metal teeth grinning at me. That's when the fire in me started. Quiet, at first. Not a roar, not even a spark. Just a simmer. I stood there for maybe 10 minutes before I said it. Not to anyone. Not even to myself, but to the silence. I'll become everything she thought I couldn't be. I didn't know what that meant yet. Not fully, but I knew it would hurt less to build than to wallow. I started small. Threw away the wine glasses she loved so much. Took down the framed. Quote, she made us hang above the bed, grow together. I emptied the fridge. Scrubbed out the remnants of her almond milk and overpriced organic spreads. The house felt hollow. But I was tired of her shadow living rent-free. I called out of work the next day. Told them I needed time. They said, take what you need. I think they assumed I'd come back defeated. But I didn't plan to go back at all. That week, I reread every notebook I'd kept since college. Every tech idea I'd shelved because I didn't have the time or the guts. I drank coffee like water. Sketched out frameworks like I was back in a dorm room. Fueled by passion and ramen noodles. By the end of the week, I had the bones of something real. Something that felt like mine, a prototype. A tech consultancy focused on dynamic business intelligence dashboards, lean, responsive, scalable. I even named it Vanguard Pulse. The name felt like movement, like defiance, but the nights were still rough. I'd lie in bed, one arm behind my head, staring at the ceiling fan spin in its endless cycle. That's when her voice would creep in. You'll never make it without me. Some nights, I believed her. Most nights, I let the bitterness sharpen me. I blocked her on everything. Not because I hated her, though maybe I did, but because I couldn't afford distractions. I knew she'd be out there with him, sipping wine on rooftops, laughing in restaurants I couldn't afford, smiling into selfies that told the world she'd leveled up. But I didn't want updates. I wanted peace. And peace, I learned, required isolation. So I started writing a note to myself every morning on a post-it. Sticking it to the bathroom mirror, she laughed. That was the first one. You build? That was the second. It became a ritual. Some people meditate. I reminded myself why I was at war. Alone, we work side by side most days, often in silence, often fueled by cheap energy drinks and day-old bagels someone left in the communal kitchen. She didn't ask about Marissa. She didn't need to. I think she saw the war in my eyes. And, just picked up a weapon. I slept in my car one weekend after the server crashed, not because I didn't have a bed, I did, but because by the time I fixed the last error, it was 3:30 a.m., and I couldn't justify the 30-minute drive homenly to come right back. I leaned the seat back, put a hoodie over my eyes. The faint hum of a city that didn't know or care I was rebuilding my life in its shadows, and then something shifted 3 months in. I got a reply from one of the dozens of firms I'd cold emailed. Mid-sized investment company. They were tired of overpriced solutions with bloated interfaces. They wanted clean, efficient analytics with real-time reporting they didn't care about. My resume? They didn't care who my ex-wife was dating. They cared about what I could build. I gave them a trial demo. 2 days later, they signed a short-term contract. The first check? $15,000. It arrived via courier, in a thick envelope. I didn't open it right away. I held it in my hands like it was made of glass. I remember just sitting in the driver's seat of my car, in the parking lot behind the co-working space, staring at my name, typed next to a dollar amount that felt both enormous and deeply personal. I wasn't thinking about how I'd spend it. I was thinking about how I'd earned it, not because someone believed in me. Not because someone gave me a second chance, but because I had refused to disappear. I cried in that car. Not big sobs, not loud. Just quiet. Heaving relief that cracked through the armor I'd been wearing for months. I didn't wipe my face until the tears dried on their own that night. I didn't celebrate with champagne or some flashy dinner. I bought a whiteboard. A massive one. Dragged it into the co-working space the next morning and mounted it next to our little desk setup. I wrote 3 words across the top. No, going, back, more. Clients followed. Slowly, like a faucet, just beginning to drip. Word spread. Leah brought in a classmate. I brought in an old colleague. Been laid a fan, was tired of kissing corporate boots. We worked off folding tables and borrowed monitors. But we started to look like a real team, and every day I pushed harder, not because I was trying to prove something to Marissa anymore, but because I was finally proving something to myself. Some nights, I'd catch a glimpse of Griffin's latest vacation on social media, he and Marissa on horseback in Argentina. Him presenting a tasting